Hi, welcome to the small shed. This week I'm making a signpost. See you in a minute. Now, about a year ago we had a group of people in at Men in Sheds from the local hospice, which I think I did a video on the build of the caddies that we did with them as a Friday afternoon sort of visit for them to come and make something. And one of the guys that was there came back in a couple of weeks later, or a couple of months later probably, and supplied us with a load of very nice 95 by 75 mil timber in large quantities. And this was through somebody he knew, I think, that was getting this as packing material almost. And he came back to me probably about 3 or 4 months ago now, I think, and asked if we could make him a signpost for his back garden. One of these things that lists sort of significant places that he's been to with his wife. He's given me a picture of what sort of thing he wants. He's given me the list of places that he wants putting on it. I'm going to laser cut some symbols for the places that he's been to as well on the end of the signposts. The only real difficult bit, I think, or the bit that I'm not so sure about, is that his name is Halfpenny, and he wants to put a halfpenny on top with a carved representation of a halfpenny. So that's going to be the difficult thing, I think, but we will go down the shed first of all, see what wood we've got and see if we can't sort something out as a starting point, and maybe find a blank for the halfpenny. Right, so I've got a post sorted which is about 70 mil square. It's come from one of these pieces of timber that's been planed up. It'll be slightly taller than that, about there. But I've now got to the point where I've got to put a coin on top, and I don't really know how big a diameter I want to make it. I've got some old pine bedhead, which as far as I can see has only got one join down the middle of it. And I want to cut a circle out of that, but I'm just trying to judge sort of how big it will be to keep it in proportion, and the only way I think I can do that is to literally sort of do that and then measure the distance. So we'll get a tape measure first, I think, then I'll cut the circle out probably on the bandsaw and then just tidy it up with the circle cutting jig on the router. So about that, about 450 mil, something like that, 450 mil diameter. Right, so I've had quite a good day at the shed this morning. I've managed to get 2 posts sorted for this signpost. Not sure which one we're going to use yet. There's a piece of 70 by 70 which is basically as it comes, it's a fence post, and I've got a bit of old pallet wood that was pretty rough but has planed up quite well to a 70 by 90, so I've just got to check with the guy who wants the sign as to how tall he wants it, because the one sign isn't, the one post, the 70 by 70 is quite short. I also ran a couple of bits of pallet wood through the planer and cut that up, and that's got me all the bits for the sign markers, the pointers, so that's done. So all in all, we've managed to get all the materials from effectively from the scrap pile. Okay, so I've blown up the drawing that I got off the internet. Ideally this thing should be all done in relief carving, leaving high spots, but I'm not really up to that yet. It's not my I'm going to get it done, I don't think, so I'm just going to put this over the top and then mark things like the edges of the boat and the waves and things like that, and I'll just router those out and see what it looks like at the end of the day. I think it'll be about right. It's probably very slightly small for the blank that I've got, but unfortunately I used a program that will, it's a bit of a crude way of doing it. Effectively it just gives you the option to increase it to a number of A4 sizes of paper. There we go. Yes, we're slightly small, but I think that's going to be fine. I can just sort of stretch things out on the outer part, move the halfpenny carve up slightly and out. So I think the next thing to do is probably to actually cut the boat out of the centre, and I'll worry about fiddling with the rest of it later, I think. And we'll put in the cross in the centre, so that will line up the pieces of paper in the centre. So we've got that line as top to bottom. And I'll put one in at right angles to that. So then all I need to do is literally stick that down on that cross, like that. There we go. That's better. Right, I've got some CNC bits and a collet which will take the size of my router 1/4 inch chuck down to these, which are I think 3.2 mil or something. I think they're 1/8 of an inch or thereabouts, and lots of small bits which are of varying amounts of pointiness. So I'm just going to have a quiet play, because this is something I've never done before. And I think if I start with the relatively fine long points and sort of get the feel of this and see how it goes, just put that into the collet and then put the collet in the router, and then we can start and make a bit of sawdust and see quite how to do it. Right, here goes nothing. So have a go with this and see how we do it. Well, that's the first bit started. Gives me an idea of how easy or hard it is. There's no great stress on, you know, it's not trying to pull in any direction. More than anything, it's just keeping the thing stable and running in the right sort of direction that you want it to. Clearly for these bits of rigging, I think I'm going to need a narrower, sharper, pointed bit. But that's really the whole point of this learning exercise, just to see how I get on. I'm just going to basically go around the outside of this sail and see what we get with that. Well, it seems to be going quite well. I should have glued the paper down more firmly, I think, because when I'm getting into smaller pieces like this, it's starting to come apart and lift. I've got the back sail and the some of the rigging on that mast done, so I'm just going to work my way forward across, cutting out as I see fit. We'll see what we've got at the end of it. Right, so that's gone a bit further than I intended to, but got slightly carried away. I don't know whether this is going to be any good or not. It's not a very deep carve, but as I said before, I don't really need it to be. What I think I'll do now is clear all this paper off. It really does need sticking down properly in future if I do this sort of thing, rather than with the like a spray mount type thing. But I've got the basic outline of the boat and all the rigging in there, I think. I'll ink this in, I think, with just with a pen at the moment and see what it looks like. So I'm happy that the carving, routing, call it what you will, when it's got some black paint in it and sanded back, will do me okay for the logo, the boat in the middle, if you like. Now it's time to do the lettering around the edge. Now the guy's name is Halfpenny. I've got halfpenny there and a date. He wants the date of his wedding put in down the bottom, but using the coin, that is in fact halfpenny. So I've got to just tighten up the spacing on this a bit. I'm just going to cut a couple of spaces out just to see how it looks. That's fine. Right. On that basis. Right, so it's time to have a go at these letters. I've set the router up in the little plunge setup I've got for the Katsu, so I can control it a bit better than just with a plain plate, and we'll see if we can freehand follow the lettering. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Now we've just got the rest 2, 4, 6, 7, 8 more to do, and the 4 down the bottom, but it's going alright, I think. that's got me all the dots done around the edge. I've just used a little, well, it wasn't actually a jig, it was the butterfly I made the other week that I wedged in the back of the drill press, and that gave me a consistent point for those to go in. So that's pretty much it now. I just need to get some resin, probably black, to run into the lettering. I'm not sure about the depressions round the edge yet. I might well leave those in timber, but that's pretty much there. I think all the hard work's done on that one, and so it just needs the resin in, which I think if I just do the halfpenny, the ship and the date, and then we'll have a think about the edges. There will be a bit of a pig to sand, to be fair, but probably needs a dowel with a rounded end and a bit of something just to do the sanding in the holes. Okay, so that's got the hard bit done. I think that's the carve. I've gone over it again and gone slightly deeper with the router. Halfway through that video I went in again and did a bit deeper. I've put the little bits in, the half round depressions in it as well. That's ready now. I originally was talking about paint and then resin. I've got some glass fibre gel coat which is black, which I was using on the nose cone of the cycle cart, so I think I'm going to mix up a little batch of that and just smear it into these, and then I can just sand it back afterwards. Then that'll give a nice finish on it, I think. So that's got as far as I can with that, I think, at the moment. Obviously I've got to mount it to the post, and I've got to do the finger markers, but they shouldn't be quite so much of a job, I don't think, as that has been. It's taken a while to get that done, but hopefully we'll be onto that in the future. Be doing something different again next week. Hope you enjoyed the video and look forward to seeing you then. Bye.